Hello everyone, this is the Otherworldly Alchemist here today to show you how I do my resin. Figured you guys like to see a little bit behind the scenes on what I do, and since I just did up these 27 molds, these three set here is for a project. Back here is my pygmy unicorn, and the rest of these are little mini trinkets and whatnot I'm going to do for my new Adventurer's Mystery Box. So, I'll show you all the tools and supplies I use. Alright? I like to use these little clear ounce cups. They're simple for when you're doing small amounts. If you want bigger, you go bigger. And usually when I do these, I have part A and part B, measure it out, then pour them into this, and stir and mix. Because this is easier, I can bend and fold and get into smaller areas if I need to, which you'll probably see here in a little bit. I also have a notebook over here with resin written on it. Ooh, cat. So I can write down how much resin I use and how much goes into each mold. Sorry, my cat jumped onto my shoulder and is demanding attention. Oh, Odin, I love you, kitty. But you need to go away, baby. Go on. Go play with your brothers. Alright. And then you always going to need a stirring stick. I have this old chopstick, I think it is, that I've been using for a couple of years now. You can see I've done some bandaging up, and it's like my little whisker wand. Yeah. You can use ends of paintbrushes, chopsticks, basically anything that you're comfortable with that's smoothing and that you can stir really well with. So, and then finally and lastly is the resin. This is the resin that I use, is Fabricast 50. I don't know why, but I've used a bit of different types of resins, but this stuff has always worked really well for me. But everybody has their own experiences, so to each their own, right? Now, before you pour any of this resin, like this part, you need to shake it up really well to get the sediment off and to get it mixed in really well. So, here we go! Okay, that one's mixed up. Let the bubbles rise. And do the other part. Okay, let the bubbles rise on that. And make sure when you're pouring, you put them in the right ounce cup for when you're measuring. Different resins require different volumes for their porridge. Thankfully, this one is equal parts, 1 and 1. Whereas my mold stuff, the stuff that makes this stuff, it's a 1 in 10. So you always got to get your measurements right, or you'll have a disaster, to say the least. Sometimes if you do it wrong, you can get the clear cast stuff, which I figured out how to do that with this resin, but I don't like doing it because it leaves a lot of bubbles inside. Or you can get something that's so bubbly, it's just like everywhere. That's why one of the main things is you have to make sure your molds are clean. One of the things I do for that is, you don't even need to see it, because I don't even have it in its original packaging anymore. You can use a paintbrush that's cleaned, dip it into rubbing alcohol, and then swirl it around inside those to make sure it's clean. Then let it dry. But one thing I do need to get for these is my cast release. The stuff I use is this stuff. This has lasted me a really long time. So what I do is clear these things out of the way, turn them upside down so the stuff doesn't get inside them, and shake the crap out of this thing. And why does everything need to be shaken up so much? And there went the lid top. What the heck? Okay, gotta find that little nozzle. Where'd you go? And of course you're on the cat toy. See? Nozzle popped off. I'm a very klutzy person. I'm sorry. It's just part of everything. Okay, once this is shaken up, what you can do is make sure your spray is towards it, but a different way. I'll make it so you guys can see it, and then spray the mold. Make sure you're in a well-ventilated area. I have my window currently open, so that can go away because it's really... There we go. Because chemical spray is never a good thing to have in your lungs in anything. So always make sure you're in a well-ventilated area. Now that that's prepped and the bubbles should be out of your resin now, let's turn these things back over. Part B and part, dang it, A. Alright, I'll pull these over here so I can pour them better. I'm going to pour part A first, which is this nice pretty yellow thing. Oh, if I can get the lid open, I should have cracked these earlier. Yeah, because sometimes this stuff crusts on the edges. Make sure the crusty stuff doesn't get in your resin when you pour it, because that could mess with your mold casting. Seriously, I hate these lids. Be glad you can't see me struggling right now. There we go. And of course, these are the press to open bottles. I hate these things. Why is it I always have a hard time with them? There we go. Now I'm going to do 1 ounce worth. So I'm going to need ½ an ounce of this. So I'll do it more where you guys can see it, not where I can see it. So it's usually best to do this on a flat surface, but I like to have it in my hand so I can actually have control over what's happening. When you've got it done, flatten it out, see if it's even, and it is. So I can set that over here for the moment. Take this stuff and do the same thing with the other bottle. And this thing's got a bunch of dust on it, so I gotta make sure I don't get that in the resin. And also, as you see, I've already dripped. It's a good thing to put down something to protect your table or whatever surface you're working on. So, alright, and there's a half, so you guys can see it. There we go. And this part of the resin, part B, is a little bit thicker than A. So, I'll show you here in a minute what I mean. So, I'm going to stick this here so you can see what I'm doing. This stuff it's about a 2-minute work time, so I have 2 minutes to stir it and pour it before it starts curing. And you guys get to see the awesomeness of the cure. So, excuse me, I'm sorry. The chili's coming back. So this stuff, pour it into your mixing cup. Make sure you get everything around the sides. Sorry, I'm right-handed, so. And then, always going to have a supply of paper towels on hand, so, because you're still going to be using the same thing over and over. Make sure you wipe it off between stirrings. Here, I'll do it the opposite way this time, hopefully, so you guys can see it. So, pour it directly into the mixing. Make sure you get the sides, so scrape, 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 scrape. Alright, and then now it's in there, you stir it until it's clear. Usually takes me about 10 to 20 seconds to get it to stir clear completely. And then immediately wipe off your stir stick, especially if you're going to be reusing it. And then get this prepped and pour. Pour slowly, but not too slowly. And it's already running down the side, which I don't like it happening. And I overfilled that one. So let's get it going to the next. I really hate this stuff. It doesn't like to behave most days for me. And it's okay if you get mold all over the resin all over the place, because it's just, it'll come off. Alright, now I've got a little bit of resin left in this, so I'm going to grab something small. I think it'll fill. And that was a little more than I needed on there, so pour a little bit back into that. And pour it back. And sometimes, as you can see, it's already starting to cure. That's why you usually got to work somewhat fast with it. If you can, you're never 100% on it, so. Crap. And then usually this stuff I just toss, because it's easy to toss. Yeah, a little end's gonna be bad. Oh well. But as you can see, the white means it's curing. Once all that white is gone, it's cured. Or, as on the bottle it says, let it sit for like 15 minutes and it's cured. So, in the meantime, I'm going to write down how much resin I could do with 1 ounce. So, let's see. 1 ounce gave me a nose, paw pat, eyeballs, small potion, and ribbon. Alright, so now onto the hi cat. There's another cat in my lap. No, you can't come up here, baby. No, not right now. And next, I'm going to use one of my bigger molds. Well, not really bigger mold, but my World of Warcraft Hearthstone trinket. I have written down somewhere. Where's the paperwork? Oh, same notebook. About some paperwork. Where is it? Alright, so we have about half an ounce to make this. Because, as you see, I take a lot of notes. They get dirty and messed up. And say, resin got on this one. But even so, I still have all my measurements. And then what came out of those measurements next to each one. So. It's always good to have this on hand. Especially when you're doing this and you're experimenting, trying to guess how much this will make, because I haven't worked with these ones yet. So, when you're experimenting, when you're first getting them, always start small on your estimations. Always. Never overestimate. And if you do, make sure you have a ton of molds available, so that when you do overestimate, you have an extra one to pour into, just in case. So, this one is not going to be too bad, so I'll go ahead and pop it. And see? The resin's already cured. It's pretty fast. But with the bigger ones, you're going to have to let them wait. Because if you pull too soon, you could mess it up. All the fun stuff. And usually about this stage is, because it's still soft, I can still like rip this with my nails if I wanted to. I'm going to take my X-Acto knife and get the edges that doubled over. Get it down to the size that it's supposed to be. Yeah, because I filled this one up a little too much with resin, so it's going to be a little bit rounded. Let's see. It looks a little bit nicer than it did a minute ago. I'd say for like molds like this that are deep, all the way to here, you're going to want them to sit a little bit longer than what they say they do, because they cure from center to outward and then downward. So the last part to cure is going to be the very bottom of this mold. So I'm going to leave this one in here a whole heck of a lot longer than it needs to be, just because I want to see how this one turns out, because I molded this one before and I messed it up a lot. So now I'm going to try this bad boy. I'm going to put these off to the side for now. While they're curing, you can stack them on top of each other because these parts are already cured. And be careful when you're touching them when they're curing. I'm doing it now because it's cold, actually. But these, the bigger ones, heat up so much. You'll actually burn yourself when touching them. So be careful on that end. Alright, so we're going to go back to this. This is going to get tossed over here for now because I don't need it in the way. So, for this one, I'm expecting to use maybe half an ounce total for this one. I got hairs in here. Why the hell do I have hairs in here? And where'd my brush go? Because I just need to do the brush thing. When you use a brush, it'll help get the hairs out. Because it'll collect the hairs for you and everything, so. Or put more hairs in there. It just depends on its mood. But yeah, just make sure that they are clean. Because then you'll get that resin, you'll get the residue on your cast itself. And it'll help, depending on the residue on it, it'll prevent you from actually painting it. Or even priming it. And if that happens, you just wasted that much resin. Okay, so we need half an ounce total. So for this, I'm just going to use this entire thing, just pour it straight into this. So for half an ounce, I'm going to need a fourth of an ounce each. If you're doing it by ounces here, it's a fourth, 4 grams, 1 gram, whatever. Or if you're doing it by milliliters, it'll be 7.5. 7.5, which will create 15. So it's got all different versions all the way around. So, but I'm going to go with the half because it's going to be easier for me to see. So I'm going to go with A first because it's easier to pour. There we go. And I just got resin going down my finger. Yeah. Alright. And now I gotta fill this up to the half point, so I'm gonna get this level for myself. And then there we go. Now I'm gonna mix it and then I'm gonna pour it. But see here, you can see how it's going from yellowish to creamy-ish. It should go to clear, but it's probably because this resin's slightly old, so. Yeah, my resin's a little bit old, but oh well, it'll still work. So now I have this. I'm going to take this, bend it, because it'll help me get these in the spots better. and just fill this up. And move this around because this has got to be completely flat. And see, I still have a lot of resin left. So, another potion bottle. I'm going to turn this around though. And this is why you always have extras laying around. Even though this didn't really get everything. But I need to go through here before it cures and grab all those bubbles out of the places they're not supposed to be. And if you don't want the bubbles at all on your stuff, you take a lighter. And light the surface. That'll draw out your bubbles. So, ta-da. Now this thing I'm going to do something with it. Since it didn't go all the way in there, I'm going to rotate it so that the resin gets up along the walls. Just enough to cover the walls. So that when I pour the rest of the resin in there, it's not going to mess up. And also for deeper ones that you know that have little edges, hit the sides, just gently, so you can get the bubbles out from the bottom. Should help. And that's starting to cure, so I'm going to sit that down. And see? Now that that's done, we can check on these. Well, didn't mean to take it all the way out, but okay. And see? Take that, take your nails, clip the edges around like that. What you can get with your nails, get with an X-Acto knife. So, this is going to go over here because it needs to be level. Stay. Alright, so there's paw part 1. And the fun part is so satisfying. I don't know why. This stuff is so satisfying when it comes out of the mold. Let's see. Exact copy. Now let's try the nose. Look how cute that is. Look at that cute little nose. Now let's see if my eyeballs actually worked. This is something I was wondering if it would work or not. So let's see how it goes. Ooh, not bad. This is the closed eye. Then let's open this one. And it's an open eye. See? And they are exact replicas of what's inside here. Now I'm going to try and get this one out. This one's going to be fun. Because I didn't put any slits on the sides, I've got to work the edges and not stab myself with the resin that I just blocked off. And pop out. And bam. And while it's still like this, I can go ahead and trim. Because this has got thicker trim on it than I want it to, so. And try not to stab yourself or poke yourself or cut yourself with these X-Acto knives, because it hurts like a bitch. Not like, no, seriously. It hurts like a son of a bitch. And later, when I'm getting ready to paint this stuff, I'm going to go back through and sand all these clear flat bottoms so that, like these ones, they're going to go on fabric. So they've got to be having not a smooth surface, but a rough surface so that they will be able to attach easier to the fur or lining or whatever that they go to. These ones, you just, it'll help let the, I can't think of the word, the primer adhere to it a lot better if it's not a perfectly smooth perfectly smooth. So, while we're waiting for this one to cure, I'm going to finish doing these little buggers. So, and if you guys don't want to go doing it with an X-Acto knife, you can always use one of those sander sponges and just like sand the edges down. I think I have a sander sponge around here somewhere. Well, at the moment apparently my sander sponge is eluding me, so I can't really show you. I'm sorry. Maybe on the next video I can. And don't do this towards the resin, because I'm being a dum-dum. There we go. See? Cleared. And just stack it over here. Alright. Good. Alright, now we're going to do this one. Always get the edges up first, just in case. It'll help loosen the mold for when you're getting ready to pop it out. So I want this end to pop out first, because that's a pain there. So we're going to nail through and ta-da! And I have the actual clay piece that I used to make this available, so we can see the difference between clay and a resin cast. See? And what do you guys think? Pretty cool, huh? Yeah? And now this one I can prime, paint, and then sell. Alrighty. Well, that's the end of the video for today. If you guys have any questions for me, feel free to comment on this video. Let me know what you think. Let me know if you guys have any questions too, and I'll answer them in my next video. Alright. Night, y'all.